We're talking about what you're talking about. Real, honest, entertaining, live. DBL starts right now.
3, 2.
Welcome to DBL. It's Wednesday, December 2nd. Could you believe it's December? I'm gonna say that every day of December.
I was out shoveling this morning, Jeff, so I can believe it.
Were you really?
Yeah,
Really?
we got a complaint
that we did not, that our walk was not shoveled. Somebody called the city, and somebody had to come from the city to say that you need to shovel your walkway. So Daddy was not happy this morning, but it's shoveled.
I didn't think there was enough snow for it to be getting shoveled.
It was a little icy, and there's like sometimes in Denver the sides of the streets, like some are completely melted and some are still solid ice. So
listen, when we moved into our house, our lawn wasn't up to standards,
Yeah.
and our neighbors let us know.
That neighbor passive aggressiveness.
So didn't mean to start off like that. I'm here with my friends Al and Stephanie. I guess we're jumping right in, guys. People Magazine has released its top people of the year. Al's on it.
Yes.
There he is. No, he's not. Selena Gomez was one of them. She launched a cooking show, put out a new album, and handed over her Instagram account to black activists in June. All right. No stranger to activism, George Clooney also made the cut. He gave $500,000 to fight socialism and political injustice and donated another $1 million for COVID-19 relief. Oscar and Emmy winner Regina King was highlighted for her encouraging people to vote. And Dr. Fauci was named for his no-nonsense approach in guiding us all through the pandemic despite receiving death threats. Listen, if there's a person for People of the Year, I don't know. That face kind of represents 2020. I would say George Floyd might be another one just because he represents 2020.
I mean, represented a change. I feel like it was a fork in the road of like the direction our culture was heading. To see that happen on TV, to see it happen in broad daylight, opened a lot of people's eyes that had probably just been like, well, it happens every once in a while. So I think George Floyd would definitely be there. And Jeff, just so you don't receive any, to fight social injustice, you said socialism, and I don't want you to get it.
Good
social
catch, buddy. Good catch.
This
Very
shows
good
socialism agenda.
You should have just shouted it out when it happened, because it happens. It happens. That's Big Jeff reading the prompter.
That's a good buddy. You've got that.
Thank you, my man.
I got
Thank
you,
you,
man.
Al, you're up. I was going to change mine. You're my People of the Year.
There we go.
You're my Person of the Year, Al.
Take that, Selena.
Okay, I'm going to fight for Selena on this one. Okay, so when Jeff even read it, I could tell there was a bit of like nonchalance in your voice. You were like, oh yeah, and she did a cooking show.
A cooking show and put out an album?
Okay, no, right. Okay. So, Selena Gomez, first of all, she's been fighting lupus. She had to have a kidney transplant. She's been incredibly ill. She did put out...
She received a kidney. She didn't give one?
She nearly died. She was that sick.
I'm not throwing stones.
Okay.
I'm just saying.
All right, look. Okay, hear me out. So, also, she made an incredible beauty line in which she gives a lot of the proceeds to mental health awareness and helping people that have that are suffering and aren't doing so well in this time of need. She said she felt with COVID, it's very important to give back and get people help. Think that's incredible. Also, she's one of the most followed people on Instagram with over 195 million followers.
Oh my goodness.
And she gave over completely access to all her accounts to black activists. And also in June, and she's been incredibly supportive, and I really respect that. I think she's used her platform for good and not just, put out a post and let it go. She really ran with that for a very long time and gave all those numbers to other people to get the message out to as many people as possible. So yes, she had a #1 album and she's a singer. Yes, she also, whilst recovering from a kidney transplant and nearly dying, had a hit cooking show series on HBO. Good lass, well done. But also, she's helping people with mental illness.
All right, listen.
Come on, give the girl a bit of credit.
We got love for SG.
Listen, you turned me around on that. I was a little snarky when I read it, but I didn't know everything that went into that. So good on you, Selena. You're a better person than me. You earned that spot. Moving on to good people. Dolly Parton isn't holding back when it comes to how she feels about her marriage. Speaking on a British podcast, the country music legend opened up about her 54-year-old marriage to Carl Dean. They've been together for 57 years and joked they're sick of each other, just joking around. Carl is rarely seen in public with Dolly. In the past, she said Carl only saw her perform once.
Wow.
That's pretty crazy. Dolly also admitted that her weakness has always been sex, food, not necessarily in that order, and men. Listen, Al, what's up with everyone, like, if you just say that you love sex, you're automatically in the cool club?
Yeah, I don't know if a lot of people do.
Yeah,
I think that a lot of people say that, But I think if you look at the numbers, especially when it comes to marriage, and I'm not trying to get too deep here, I think sex or lack thereof is a major issue for a lot of relationships. So if one of her issues is that she still enjoys sex, that is awesome. She should be applauded for that. I think sex is one thing that is not discussed when you go into a marriage, because usually the first 2 years, you know, you guys are all over each other, but you need to like sit down and be like, how many times a week going forward, and it's a weird convo to have.
No,
but am I out of line?
No, I totally hear what you're saying, and you're right on. You're speaking logically. I'm just thinking like hypothetically. I'm not. I don't know why I said that. I tried to use a big word. I'm saying like Suzanne Summers, for instance, maybe because she's poisoned my brain. We do it 3 times a day, every single day, 7 days a week. I'm like, no, you don't.
Yeah.
No, you don't.
That's
you know what I mean?
impossible.
And then just to be like, hey, I'm an older woman. I have sex every day. I don't know. Good on you, Dolly. What do you think?
Well, I think she's being very honest, and I think she's sick of her partner. They've been together for 54 years. She probably doesn't want to see him every day, but I bet she can't live with him and she can't live without him.
That's a good point.
You get to that point where literally someone becomes so ingrained in your being. It's like your brother or your sister or whatever. You love them unconditionally, but at some point you're just like, oh, go away. He probably doesn't want to see her perform all the time.
Let me ask you a question. Do you think it's weird that he's only seen her perform once?
Okay, I don't believe he has only seen her perform once. I think that's an exaggeration, but he probably is also sick of hearing the songs. He's probably sick of all of that. That's probably his way of supporting her, by being like, you know what, you go and do you, live your life, and it shows he's not fame hungry.
But he's probably sick of other things too after 57 years.
Yeah.
So don't tell me that's on the top of your list.
I just think after a while, you're just probably, I mean, my girl probably goes to pre-COVID, I would do probably 30 shows a month, 20 shows a month. Yeah. Especially when I'm doing a weekend where I do 6 shows for that weekend. And she might see me once that month, and she wants to go, but I'm like, you've heard it. You know?
Like, so how many times would you say that Merritt's come to watch your shows? I mean, obviously COVID, average before, roughly.
I would say she's probably seen me perform 15 or 20 times.
Oh, that's a lot.
Yeah,
that's
but
good.
I mean, I've done hundreds of shows. So, I mean,
think as well, then we're all on television every single day. Does Jordan watch every day? Does Merritt watch every day?
She watches a lot when she's not on the call. She'll watch because she'll be like, "Your collar. That was a good point Jeff made. You shouldn't have said that."
Well,
like,
she does.
Yeah, she'll watch once in a while, but not every day. Kind of like something else that happens at our house. Glee actor Matthew Morrison is getting backlash for his portrayal of the Grinch. He's starring in the musical on NBC next week. Here's a little sneak peek.
You're a mean one, Mr. Grinch. I hate Christmas.
But Twitter wasn't very kind. Surprisingly, one person tweeted, just when we thought 2020 couldn't get worse, Matthew Morrison as the Grinch? Wow. Another tweeted it, I'm pretty sure Matthew Morrison as the Grinch is a war crime. And another person just couldn't contain themselves. Let's watch. That's mean. That's just mean.
Jeff, you know what I started saying to myself, because I found myself, years ago, I'd be on podcasts, this is going to touch you, Jeff. I used to be like, I don't get it with Justin Bieber, why do people, and then it hit me one day, like out of the blue, I was like, it's not for you. Justin Bieber, the reason we didn't know anything about Selena Gomez.
Al, don't say that.
That's not our demo.
Don't say that, Al. I'm bringing you around.
I am on Team Biebs now. But I will say, the guy laughing at the Grinch, although his laugh was hilarious, that's not for him. That's for my son, Baby Ford, I'm assuming. Like, can you judge something that's for kids?
I didn't mind it. I actually thought he did a stellar job. And I actually Googled, why do people hate Matthew Morrison so much? Because the hate has been insane. So it actually goes on to like Instagram. He was on the show Glee. People didn't like his character on Glee, the teacher. And then also, he did a post on Mark Sailing, and he posted an angel, one of his co-stars on that show that passed away, and he put an angel emoji. And just before he died, that actor had been sentenced for possession of child pornography before his death. So I think people have got a real vendetta against that, saying it was very inappropriate, and now anything he does, they attack.
Oh,
you know what I think it is too? I think it's hard to fill Jim Carrey's shoes as the Grinch. He did a fantastic job. My kids watch it.
I thought he did an all right job.
100 times. Listen, I'm not knocking Matthew Morrison at all. I'm saying maybe that's why people are knocking him.
And then, Jeff, to your point, Jim Carrey struggled to follow what's the name to play Joe Biden on SNL. So like anytime you take over a character, people do have issues with you.
Who played Joe Biden? He played Joe Biden.
I know, but who played it before? Was it supposed to be somebody
Sudeikis?
else? Jason Sudeikis, I believe. Yeah.
He was the Grinch?
No, he was Joe Biden on SNL.
I'm so confused.
I'm saying Jim Carrey struggled just like he's struggling to
Just
take
like
over.
we're struggling right now?
Yes. I thought you'd be with me on this.
I was not.
Stay with us through the commercial break. We'll figure this out.
Coming up, why people love socialism. No, I'm just kidding. That was a throwback to the top of the show. I catch up with legal heavyweight Dan Abrams. What does he really think of the decision to cancel Live PD after the George Floyd protest?
Don't check your mentions.
You got to go back to the beginning of the show to get that joke. I was totally kidding. And me and Al's boy, could there be a baby Biebs on the way? Stephanie tells us what up in What Up Wednesday
My
next.
girl.
Welcome back to DBL. It's time for What Up Wednesday, where I tell you lot what's up in the world of celebrity gossip. If it's trending in Hollywood, we're talking about it here. So let's get started. Our first stop is in Beverly Hills, where Justin Bieber is opening up about plans to start a family. Justin and Hailey recently marked their 1-year anniversary and seem to be very much still in the newlywed phase. While meanwhile, Hailey's close friends like Kylie Jenner and Gigi Hadid are busy embracing motherhood. So it's got fans wondering, could a baby Bieber be next? Here's what's up. According to Justin, Hailey still has a few things left she wants to accomplish before becoming a mum. And if I had to guess, it's probably something to do with her successful modelling career. And as for Justin, he says he's ready to have as many kids as she wants when his wife is ready. That's case closed on the Bieber baby boom for now. We're sticking around in LA to check in on another teen pop sensation, Billie Eilish. So the 18-year-old is known for her style almost as much as she's known for her music, which is saying a lot because she's won like 1 million Grammys. Well, the stylish and successful star is making headlines for revealing that she's gotten a tattoo. Here's what's up. Billie is a trendsetter, so fans are clamoring to see what ink she's chosen. Well, it's tough luck because Billie's told Vogue magazine there's no way we will ever see her tattoo. But unlike the ink, Billie says her signature style is not permanent, and she's also hinted at changing up her look soon, saying that she's still growing up and finding herself. Hear. And our last stop is in my homeland, England, where poor Queen Elizabeth is dealing with a case of backstabbing and betrayal. The scandal. A former employee of hers pleaded guilty to stealing the Queen's personal belongings and then selling them on eBay. Well, news reports that the sticky-fingered staff swiped 77 items over about 3 years and made about 10 grand. Now here's what's up. The crown jewels worth $4 billion. Well, yeah, they're safe. We only know about a few things that the thief stole, and they include signed photos of Harry, William and Kate, and as for Lizzie, don't worry about her. The 94-year-old is still sheltering in place in Scotland with Philip, far away from any burglars. And that's it for this week's What Up Wednesday. Daily Blast Live will be back after this.
If you have Medicare, listen up. The Medicare...
Welcome back to DBL. When it comes to legal minds on TV, few match Dan Abrams. Earlier, he weighed in on no-knock warrants and the cancellation of his show Live PD in the wake of the George Floyd protests. That's today's Chatting with the Stars. Dan Abrams, welcome back to DBL. Now, you're here to tell us all about the highly anticipated Season 3 of Court Cam. But first, Dan, I gotta ask you about Live PD. I thought it provided a very unique perspective on who the police were and what they go through on a daily basis, right? Do you think it was a good idea to pull that show?
I made it clear when it was, canceled that I was sorry that they were doing that. But I definitely think there's a future for Live PD. For those who say we need to be able to see what police officers are doing more often, I think that's what Live PD does, and I certainly hope it comes back.
I would love to get your legal take on no-knock warrants in the wake of Breonna Taylor's death. A couple weeks ago, we had Nancy Grace on our show, and she argued that no-knock warrants are constitutional and therefore should not be banned.
That's throwing out the baby with the bathwater. So whoever's screaming that needs to go and read the law books and find out why we have no-knock provisions.
Well, look, they may be constitutional, but that doesn't necessarily mean they're a good idea. Look, I understand the reason behind no-knock warrants, right? You want to prevent people from flushing drugs down the toilet, for example. I don't, in my personal opinion, think it's worth the risk. I have concerns about no-knock warrants, and I would support getting rid of them. And I talk to a lot of police officers who feel that way as well, because they think it's risky for them. And we're primarily talking about drug cases. And when you're talking about drug cases and you're risking both the safety of the people inside and potentially of the officers, I don't think it's worth it.
All right, so Court Cam returns, Dan, for season 3 tonight, and we all know there are some stupid criminals out there. You've shown us guys jumping off of balconies, driving through courthouses. What's the most outrageous thing that your cameras have caught?
Look, the whole show is about these, sort of unbelievable, outrageous moments, but it's not just outrage, right? I mean, part of it is humanity. Part of it is seeing, people who are victims, family members getting so angry they can't control themselves. And then just the flip side of that is a victim's family member who in sentencing decides to forgive.
Last season, I remember specifically, we all saw a very emotional moment where a father forgave a man for his role he played in murdering his son and even hugged him. It was a very emotional episode. Are there any emotional moments like this in the upcoming season?
A mother is in court for the sentencing of a guy who had gunned down her son. He was 14 at the time, and he and 2 other, youths were involved in a robbery and ended up shooting this guy. And the mother is, truly heartbroken, right? I mean, clearly this is a mother who was really close with her son. And she decides that it's not going to help for her to be angry and for her to want vengeance. And she decides instead to come to court at his sentencing and plead for forgiveness. And she ends up hugging the defendant's mother and saying, I want to be part of your life. I'm going to come visit this kid. So I ended up interviewing her, and I can tell you that as I interviewed her, I had tears welling up. It was just so emotional for me talking to her and hearing her, her words, but yet you could tell how angry she is. And she's somehow not conveying that. And she was someone who really inspired me.
Well, Dan Abrams, you're the best, buddy. Thank you so much for chatting with us here on Daily Blast Live. And DBL Nation, you can catch season 3 of Court Cam premiering tonight at 9 p.m. Eastern on A&E. Again, Dan, thanks. Come back anytime, buddy.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Have a good one. We'll be right back, everybody.
Promotional consideration is brought to you by
Welcome back to DBL. The clock is ticking if you haven't participated in open enrollment yet, and you won't believe how many more people are taking advantage this year. We're chatting about it in this DBL Health Alert presented by Health Markets. More than 758,000 people selected healthcare plans in the third week of open enrollment. That's a 41% increase over last year. So what does this mean? When you break down the numbers, a majority of those who enrolled were renewing coverage, but a good chunk were new in the wake of the COVID crisis, obviously. Enrollment periods close December 15th, so you got to act fast.